wrap up our what's needed aspect of the session, and then ask our speakers to have a seat, and invite up Nicolas Froloff from Dassault Systems and Pascal Sempé from IBM. Now, this is our enterprise part of the session, and we're going to discuss some solutions that are already on the shelf. And we're going to begin with Dassault Systems, and I'm going to give the floor to Nicolas.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you a few slides of what Dassault System is doing. Is it showing up? Okay. All right. So Dassault System, so what do we provide? So we are, I would say, more a scientific company than a software company. So we are not computational biologists. We are more scientists, and we work with the scientists. And our mission is to provide virtual world, so as to, and virtual universes, and virtual experience to offer solutions to a wide ecosystem of industries, public institutes, and all biotech CROs that are involved in the life sciences and healthcare activities, so that to help design better products, solutions for the real world. So we're now about 40,000 people. We have more than about 2,000 customers today in all industries. Of course, we are well known for serving the aero industry because we started from Dassault Aviation, but now we're an independent company, and we serve and we extend what we've developed with the aero industries and aero R&D to automotive, to now serve 12 industries, 12 different sectors of activities. We also provide a collaborative environment, which we don't do by ourselves, but we also with an extended ecosystem of partners, software ISVs, independent software vendors, but also partners as companies. Our companies are partners of Dassault System, as well as research institutes and regulatory agencies, of course. It is long-term driven. So what we've been doing for more than 30 years is managing complexity for people and business. For example, we are managing extremely complex objects, such as an airplane. An airplane is about 4 million objects. It is life-cycled, it is versioned, it is revised. And what we offer for the aerospace industry is, as I said, a virtual world, a collaborative environment. And we use the 3D here not only to represent the object that has to be developed, but also as a collaborative environment where all disciplines can meet and agree on the object. And here, the 3D is a good representation because you can actually have an environment where designers, engineers, manufacturers, scientists can all work on the same mock-up, I would say, on the same 3D large object, and collaborate end-to-end from the initial idea up to the commercialization and the certification of the airplane. The same with Toyota. Toyota is a big customer of Dassault System. For Toyota, we not only provide the digital product, but also the digital manufacturing, the digital factory, the modeling of the interior manufacturing of the car. And so, just to say that this is our, I mean, we manage not only big data, but complexity.
I just want to point out, though, you are a software company that actually saw an opportunity in life sciences, did you not? Like,
yes, yes.
Like, at one point, did that become apparent in your company? And I imagine you're going to go into some of the steps you've taken to become proficient in the life sciences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So actually our purpose, and that was a strategy that was actually taken back in 2006 by our CEO, is to address not only the product sphere, but also the impact of the products on the environment and on the biosphere, on the living systems, and to provide a collaborative platform for multidiscipline scientific innovation, connecting the dots between all aspects, all types of data that are produced, all information, be it non-structured, be it social, or be it structured, and to have this in an integrative environment with secured access so that all stakeholders, companies, CROs, biotechs, institutes can collaborate, share, but also choose what intellectual property they want to share and they want to collaborate upon. And here is the complexity. So it's not only the complexity of the product that we address, but we're also addressing the complexity of the pipelines, the complexity of the ecosystem. Now, the entire value chain for patient care, from manufacturer to healthcare, is involving several actors. Of course, pharmaceutical companies play a major role. But as you can see, from research to development to manufacturing, distribution, and down to patient care and the healthcare system, they are outsourcing more and more. It means that the ecosystem around pharma companies is growing more and more, and the value chain is shared more and more between all these actors, for example, in research. And that's something that is new, actually, that we observe, is that research was the core of the IP that was invented within pharma companies, but now they are also outsourcing research because they understand that it is even more interesting to leverage innovation outside the company by securing the IP instead of doing it only in the walls of the company. So I will be very fast. And what was the opportunity to get there? I mean, of course, there is the attrition and the innovation productivity that is problematic for all the life sciences industry. Also something that was striking to us, we are addressing R&D in all sectors. And pharma is spending more in R&D than the automotive and aerospace companies all taken together. So there is a strong need for innovation and for providing a collaborative environment for innovation for the life sciences sector at large.
Can we just, really? Pharma spending more than the automotive industry?
Sorry?
I said you were saying pharma spending more than the automotive industry.
Yeah, the R&D in the life sciences and in pharma companies taken globally, they spend more. They spend hundreds of billions of dollars every year than the aerospace and the automotive industries all taken together.
Yeah, because I'm guessing the sales of the auto industry supersede the sales of the pharma industry by far.
The sales of pharma companies are actually, it's a very big market.
Yeah.
It's in thousands of billions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
The life sciences market is growing. Mm-hmm. Does it mean that it is not only the pharmaceutical companies, but it is also the biotechs, and it is also all the services, all the medical devices. And globally, this market is still growing because there are stronger needs in terms of healthcare today than there was before. Mm. Because of complex diseases, aging populations, etc., etc. Just to show you how we started in life sciences, and very briefly, we started with a collaboration in research with INSERM. We also initiated the biointelligence program with 5 pharma companies back in 2006 with the G5 members, Servier, Sanofi, Ipsen, Pierre Fabre, and also Bayer Crop Science, and labs from the INSERM and from INRIA to develop a large collaborative program on developing an entire portfolio for modeling, simulation, centered around systems biology, multi-scale, from molecules to organs to patients. and also on two specific aspects of interest, which is oncology and the safety also of biologics and chemicals. And this consortium was ended last year. It lasted 5 years. It involved more than 600 people, so it was a collaborative consortium. And all this collaboration was done within the platform that was provided by Dassault Systèmes, so as to share and leverage all the social ideas and that among all the contributors to that program. Last year, what we did also, and that is not quite known yet, is that we acquired a leader in bioinformatics, which is Axeris. So now there are about more than 1,000 people at Dassault Systèmes working in life sciences. And our ambition for life sciences is to do what we did for all other sectors, is to cover end-to-end the value chain of the R&D that is done in this ecosystem, to provide a backbone for sharing and managing all the changes in the innovation in terms of products and in terms of new medicines and new services. Also, a scientific platform to do modeling and simulation at large of functional, logical, and physical aspects of systems, and in particular for molecular modeling, simulation, but also for digital clinic of effects of drugs in humans, and the effects of and the safety also on new chemicals and biologics on humans, animals, and on the environment. And also to execute this in the lab with the One Lab solutions, and to monitor the clinical trials, and to improve clinical testing based on, for example, biomarker information that could help personalize the clinical testing.
How long does that take to build from
Oh, that will take another 100 years, I would say. But yeah, we started 10 years ago, and also what we learned in this path is that what is smart data for us, and I mean, I think that you all share this vision. Life sciences is generating big data, genomics, as you said, proteomics, all types of molecular data, but also data at the phenotypic level, data at the patient level, at the population level, biobanks. So what you can do first is do a statistical and draw statistical correlations analysis and find hypotheses. But how can you filter all those hypotheses and have a better understanding of what's happening? So that's what we've done in collaboration with pharma partners and partners from INSERM, is that we did systems biology approach to understand possible biomarkers, and through simulation to find which ones are the more likely to be the actionable targets, for example, for new drug design, specifically on, for example, in resistance in breast cancer, for example, or on other types of diseases which are complex, such as diabetes or Alzheimer's.
So some real-world questions in terms of...
So basically, that's about it, what I wanted to tell, and what we are trying to build with this large ecosystem. Dassault Systèmes technologies are also behind the ensemble that is provided by the Sanger Institute. We acquired Exalid, which is the French Google, and we are able to index at the internet scale all data and to make them available for, again, patient care purposes. And also we illustrated very recently at the Biointelligence Experience Day on April 8th, in front of a panel of executives from the pharma industry and also research people from the INSERM and all research institutes such as Institut Gustave Roussy. What we are able to do now with this platform and with the applications that we have developed in the course of the Biointelligence project.
Well, thank you very much, Nicolas. Very engaging. We have 20 minutes left, and with that 20 minutes, Nicolas is going to join me here at the table, and I'm going to introduce Pascal Sempé from IBM Watson. And IBM, very old name in computing, but they're doing some quite futuristic things. And I leave this the floor to you, Patrick, to tell us.
Pascal, but anyway, thanks for this nice introduction. So my name is Pascal Sempé. I work indeed for IBM in France. I'm part of the Watson group, and my point today is to give you a bit of information of what Watson is. I guess some of you may know, but I suspect some may not. So let me just spend a little bit of time trying to explain the basis of what we're speaking about. So Watson, first of all, is also known as cognitive computing. And when you think about cognition, you think about, way human beings or animals behave. When they are in front of a problem, when they have a question they need to answer, they basically capture signals, they evaluate what those signals means in this context, and then they make a decision. So the idea behind cognitive computing is exactly the same. It's basically building a system that can identify signals and be trained to understand what those signals means in this specific context. So the notion of context is very important, and then help you make a decision to do some assessment about what those signals means. So first of all, the key message is that Watson, by definition, is a very new way to design information systems, because traditionally, as you know, we build programs, we build executables that that process a given task in the way we decided it has to be performed. Cognitive computing is very different. It's a set of capabilities that you're training the system. It's really based on machine learning, if you want, or expert training. So there's a little phase that you need to put in a bit of effort, that you need to put the expertise you have into the system, that it understands the context in which you're evolving, and basically the material, the information that you're feeding to the system. Now, the very nice idea behind Watson is also mainly, I would say, to tap in this huge amount of data that you guys are producing all the time is unstructured data, so text, voice, images, video, all that kind of data that is very complicated to deal with, because in fact, for text, you need to read it to understand what's in there. So the idea behind Watson is, can we build a system that can understand a question, a complex question, really understand, when I say understand, is understand the details of this question, especially if you have information about the context. Use this information about the context to make sure you understand clearly what the question is about, and then go deep in this huge amount of data you may have, some millions of documents in some cases, and try to find the best answers that the system could find in there, expose those answers to you. And what Watson does, in fact, it exposes the answers with a level of confidences, but the most important, it gives you the answers and all the underlying evidence that support this answer. So basically, we're speaking here about clearly evidence-based decisions, if you want, because you're asking a question to the system is returning answers and providing you the evidence. So, I mean, it's very neat. You'll see a lot of applications of Watson in many industries, and I really push you to go in YouTube, whatever. There's tons of videos on that, and you'll see where it comes from. It was announced in 2011, and since 2011, we've done a lot of progress in many industries. So think about a system that anybody can ask a question in his language, natural language, that gives you back an answer with evidence. On top of that, because it's based on machine learning, based on the way you use it, and more you use it, better it performs, because it's keep on training. And what it also means, it keeps track of the history of the relationship you had with the system. So basically, it will tune the answer based on this past experience. So, in a way, it's providing you kind of personalized answer.
So that's, just to back up, what are some of the sources within the life sciences that it's drawing upon for
So, I mean, the sources you would use in life sciences is basically medical publications, scientific publications, reports of any kind. You'll see in a few minutes, I'll tell you more about what we're doing now with Watson in a broader space. But today, I would say that if you look at the first implementations we've done in healthcare, for instance, some of you may know that we've trained Watson in the area of oncology. And we've done that with some reference hospitals in the US and in some specific cancers. And so that took about a year to train the system to understand what cancer is, what all the language they use, and all the signals that you need to detect, and the meaning they have. All this training took some time. But now, basically, the doctors in, for instance, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York, are using this to provide them guidelines or support evidence or treatment options for their patients. So it's very neat, because in fact it's taking all what makes your patient so different, and back to the discussions we had before, it's a very personalized questions you're asking to the system, and the system is returning what it thinks the best solution for your patient is. And it will, in this case, it's based on literature, it's based on guidelines, it's based on historical data you may have in the hospital. So that's running, that's already, and even some other hospitals at Memorial are tapping into the system, also working at MD Anderson in the US. And there's many other things you can think of. Everywhere where you have a lot of unstructured data. In pharma, for instance, we have projects in assessing toxicology profile of drugs before they go into preclinical, for instance. Because all of that is, you have a lot of information in what already exists, and all those documents, those clinical trials, those reports. So we were discussing before about the difficulty to capture data. What I'm telling you is already tap in what you have, which is a huge amount of data that is sitting there, and it's very difficult for a human being to deal with. So, for instance, toxicology, I said, pharmacovigilance, of course, comparing clinical trials. I heard earlier today we have projects around that. So, you know, all it's the idea of tell me what's in the data, and if the data is smart enough to understand your question, it can help you find the right answer. So that's what we're doing in the pharma space, for instance. What did I miss? Of course, competitive intelligence and stuff like that. So that's a large thing. And depending on the projects, you will train the system on different data sources, of course.
Yeah. So are you ready to, IBM made a very big announcement.
Oh yeah, that's right. So
recently?
Yeah, so Samir made a very nice introduction. Before in the previous session, I don't know if you noticed, there was this little reference to IBM Watson Health. So yeah, we made a big announcement 2 days ago. We're creating a new business unit for which IBM is it's not something we do every day. It's named Watson Health. And the purpose of Watson Health is basically to bring a number of partners and other companies with us. And for instance, Apple, with whom we have a big partnership, or companies like J&J or Medtronic and many others to come. So they're all joining in an effort to build a big cloud, where we will be able to feed anonymized medical data, clinical data, but mostly, and more interestingly, to better understand what's going on in those patients, also consumer health data, for instance, every kind of data you capture with your mobile devices, or whatever, you go running, or all those applications that produce a lot of data on you. So the idea is to merge all this information, clinical data, environmental data, any kind, think about it, a huge amount of data, genetic data, all this anonymized, so it provides big level data. Here we're really in big data. And provide this access to those data in an open model where basically the partners can come and build application on it. So first of all, it will serve research, because the idea is to be able to find to better understand what's going on in the patient, because as we said all along this afternoon, patient is just not what his disease tells you, it's also how he lives, how he feeds himself, what kind of exercises, all those kind of external parameters that we now are going to be able to capture, feed them, provide them in the system, and be able to better understand what's going on. So we announced that. We'll see what goes on, but clearly this is very nice, because we're really putting the patient in the middle, all those data available, and we're going to be enriching, for instance, with Apple, we're going to be enriching the health kit or the research kit they're providing. Of course, we're bringing all the knowledge of IBM, historical knowledge around security and cloud and stuff like that. So that's going to be really exciting, and maybe some of you have seen those announcements. I really encourage you to go and look into that, because I think it's a real opportunity for all of us to build more knowledge around what's going on in patients.
And, from a public perspective, how do you get them to chip in?
Well, I mean,
I would imagine that if you present it to the public, they'll want to participate. Is that the case, or do you?
I mean, there's no reason why not. I mean, the data, the idea of the data is you need to, all this, and everybody needs this information. It's good individually speaking, because then you'll have an apps, for instance, if you're diabetic, for instance, then you have an apps, not only would it capture your data on glycemia, but it would provide you advices on how better control your glycemia, or maybe what kind of food you should take, or what kind of exercise you should do. So all those informations, including from the public, are very interesting. So of course, those data are, all the data are anonymized, of course. Okay?
Well, I would imagine some assurance that my privacy is being kept, despite participating in what is a very public.
Yeah, but there's no way you can you don't know who's the data are, okay, in the system. So of course then it's another relationship that you may have with other entities that you may provide your applications for, but that's another story. But in this program of this Watson Cloud, if I can call it that way, all the data are not put there in this concept. It's basically the idea is we've done a lot around clinical data, and we see all those tremendous information coming from social networks, from mobile devices, and all that kind of stuff. Clearly, there's a lot of information in there that you need to capture for the good of the individual, of course, but of course of all of us better understanding what's going on in those patients.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think we're coming close to the end of our session. We have about, yeah. Yes, you may. Yeah, that was what I was getting to. I actually have a tweet that's in French that I can't decipher, so I'll ask.
Thank you very much. It's been really wonderful hearing directly from you the latest news. I, of course, seen the press release, and we tried the Watson, well, at least the public version of it. It's machine learning is beautiful, and it's lots of potential, and new initiatives are great. So the gap that I still see between collecting the data in a cloud and putting machine learning methods train itself to deal with this data is how far it brings us towards understanding. Does it really brings us there yet? The thing is, there are very diverse types of data, clinical data. Currently, it is based mainly on publications and text mining and semantic web technologies. But how do you deal with integrating that, for instance, with the molecular data, clinical data, behavioral data? How far are you there? Because it sounds that everything is solved.
No, it's not magic. I mean, clearly you don't use the same technologies when you're dealing with unstructured data, like text or voice, which was basically the first thing we handled with Watson. Then what we're putting in the Watson unit, Watson Health unit, is some pieces of the Watson technology, but also a lot of pieces of our data analytics technology that will handle with those structured data, those molecular data. So it's a combination of multiple technologies that will go in there. And not only ours, because the principle of this open platform is that we expect, companies and whatever entities, they come and provide pieces of development that will help handle those things. And what we need to do in Watson Group is to do this convergence between text, knowledge, insight, expert knowledge in there, and the data, the real data, and see. But I see a lot of value to interpret, structured data. If you have insights from other fluxes of information, that really strengthens a lot the quality of the models you can build. So the idea is really to have a convergence between all those type of data.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. There is a certain discrepancy. Previous speakers were telling about how we are, making the first steps, but not running. Well, if I listen to you, we are in a full speed.
Well, we're in full speed, but I mean, the thing is, it's a big ambition to do it, and what we hope is people are going to take up and do that and see the value they have to share all those data. And I think Watson, in a way, or cognitive technologies are very interesting because, first of all, it's a new way to interact with information systems. That's the first thing. I mean, if you think of a patient, who has an application, the fact that he can speak, who type to the system and get an answer, already by itself is huge because it's a completely different way to interact with the system. But I think that the cognitive technologies have the capability to ingest all the expertise of every expert, basically, and give it back. That's the other value. And so there's a way of sharing knowledge, expertise that is really, really good.
It's definitely a great promise. I just, look
but
forward
that's
for
what
it
we
to
see.
deliver.
That's what we see in the oncology program, is that the idea was not so much to upskill the experts, but it was to distribute the knowledge of those experts into less expert doctors, so that they could have at least the same level of expertise. So it's also for the patient a guarantee that every doctor has the same level of understanding of suggestions of what he could do. And then, of course, it's his call to decide what he needs to do. But at least is exposed to this knowledge.
Yeah, definitely every little step helps.
Okay, Nicolas has a comment as well.
Just an additional comment, something that is very important for us, I mean, IBM or Dassault System, is the development of standards, because, of course, standard is important to exchange information. What we observe is we observe silos of information, and within companies, between research institutes, so there is this development of standard around CDISC, IDMP now, for experimental data that are produced in the lab very early in research. To my knowledge, there is not yet a standard for this, but we are really looking at it because it is, that's the way we are developing our open collaborative platforms, is to be able to leverage standards, to be open. And the best way to be open is that there is an agreement between all the actors in this life sciences ecosystem on how to represent this information, be it non-structured or structured, and how to share it, and also foster the transparency of the data that is produced within the walls of the pharmaceutical companies, so that the people, the patients, the physicians, everybody in that sector can understand and better develop tools for predicting what's going to happen and how to develop innovative drugs, for example.
Thank you. Any other? We have one other question. Actually, I'll bring it to him. Oh, he's got it.
You know, I mentioned about the hope for IBM Health, Watson Health. Do you expect that you will be able to use unstructured data sitting on social network from where to pick up public information? For example, epidemiology of disease, people talking about it. Is it that machine will be able to do by cognitive?
In a way, we do it already. I mean, we have a partnership with Twitter, for instance, that is aimed for that. So the idea is to use all this knowledge from tweets about what is said, how people express themselves. So this is things that are going to come. I mean, we already implemented. So I'm not saying we haven't yet implemented it really so far in healthcare, but in finance, for instance, or things like that, or e-commerce.
So just IBM thinking in healthcare to create a Facebook face on health for every individual who wants to get into it.
Yeah, I'm not aware that we're going to be doing that, but I'm sure people may do it. And you will have a lot of information anywhere on patient sites, patient groups, and assuming you can access to those information and they're okay to be accessed, I think there's a lot of information you can get out from there. It's very, very important. I mean, those social networks information, those tweets, those whatever, I think are very, very valuable because you can detect very early signals that are not yet expressed by an expert or professional. It's things you can pick up. And you can be very smart in analyzing tweets. You know, it's only 140 characters, but there's a lot of things in there.
That's right. I just wanted to share on the expression of this lady mentioned. I think our generation was very conservative. We held our data, we hold on. Even our photographs will be in our albums. But the next generation that we are talking about, they share everything. So I believe not only we will run, we'll fly in a very short time. Because the power of the mass, when it decides, if IBM can only open up a window for millions of people, young people, to provide personal data, which I think Watson Health will eventually do at some point.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I would just say that as a corporation, you have to be very careful on what you do. So I agree that we will be pushed by the market or the people to open more. But it's very important, and the ideas we have between this Watson cloud is the security and the confidentiality of data is very important. So I understand a lot of people are exposing their life on the network. That's fine for them, maybe. But as a corporation, you cannot go, you have
But Facebook makes money out of it.
Yeah, but
much more than
but that's not the
anybody
model
else.
of IBM. We're not making money on data, okay? We don't commercialialize data.
What I meant is there's a mindset change, and we should recognize that
that's right, yeah.
in future healthcare development.
I would say there is a mindset change, even within the pharma industry. I mean, I know that the whole first part of the session sort of pointed to the fact that we need some sort of cultural shift within the pharma industry and the clinicians and even the public. But you are seeing things like Eli Lilly has a Twitter page for patients to interact and engage its clinicians. Eli Lilly is a stalwart in the industry, yet they have a Twitter page. You know, that's kind of unheard of for the industry, but you know, now you're gonna, like, Eli Lilly has one, so Pfizer's gonna have one, and AstraZeneca's gonna have one. You know, there is a bull rush to change once somebody kind of steps out. So I do think that we are gonna, the change is coming.
25 years back, when human genome came,
Yeah.
we spent hours together discussing confidentiality. 25 years down the road, everybody would say, my genome is up. Today, when I take a survey to collect old people whose genome they want to put it up, they all say yes. Everybody wants to share them. I don't know what change has taken place, but I'm sure Lee will agree. 25 years back, it was the biggest concern we had, that confidentiality, what will happen. But whether it's Watson genome or Craig Venter genome or every possible genome people have, and you have seen Angela, whatever has done, people just would like to. So there is a change, and that change is the hope of the transition that we have gone into a space of confidentiality to how do we share to make sure we get the care for the people. And that's, I think, is the mood we need to take. And technology is the base.
Okay, so one more comment.
Just one comment
Yeah.
on what you said. I think
Okay,
that
3 more comments, because this is
Another comment?
yeah. So you, and you, and then I think we need to wrap up because people are hungry.
Just a very short comment. I think you're really right. This ecosystem, this sector in life sciences is maturing in what it is pre-competitive, and that needs to be shared. All pharma do not need to reproduce the same methods that are of use and that could be shared and leveraged, and then concentrate on what is really their intellectual property, which is their novel mechanism or their novel chemical or their novel biologics. But I agree with you, there is a mass of information that should be shared, and a mass of methodologies, models, simulations, ways of understanding how living systems behave, understand how they behave in a wellness state or in a disease state should be shared. And that's about publication, but publishing even more larger and agreeing on standards to exchange all this information that is available.
Thank you. So in rapid succession, the last 3 comments. You first, Lloyd, Dr. Lloyd.
I would just say I agree entirely that data should be shared. I think there's one central issue we really have to deal with, and that's discrimination. And that is much more of a severe issue in the States than in single-payer systems that you have here in Europe. But until that is really resolved, we can make all the beautiful arguments we want about getting the data out there, but people, I'll tell you, the question we got asked most often in the 107 Pioneer study was exactly that. How can you guarantee us that this data won't be used? And we de-anonymized it, and of course the issue is if you're really a clever hacker, you can identify data with people. So the real key is to make sure there isn't discrimination. After we've done that, I think we'll be in good shape.
I do think that there are some lessons in terms of bringing the public along with you, because as much as I understand, you can anonymize the data and, you know, it just goes in a cloud and you couldn't possibly, a public perception that their privacy is being compromised could derail the whole thing. And you know, the public doesn't always understand the science or the technology behind what's happening. So I do think there's a bit of a precariousness to the current period that we're in, and that we might do well to invest a little bit in educating our public about privacy issues and whatnot. So Diane wanted to make a very quick comment.
Yes, just a quick comment. I would like to come back to your comment. I agree with you. It's true that we see a very important cultural shift. And it's not just with the public, it's also with the whole pharma industry. It's a need. It's just a need. The diseases are so complex that there's no way we are going to solve these problems just alone. There's no way. And I think the pharma industry, most of it has understood that already. And personally, what I think would be extremely important is that we see this also from the academic point of view. I think we still have a little bit of work to do here. How can we make it to work together? Because there's no way we're going to find, one group is going to find a solution.
Ashley Wilmore has a train to catch. So I want to thank you very much for your participation. And Pascal has one last comment for us, and then I think we'll round out. I know we have 2 tweets on the board, but we're a bit over time, so
I didn't really have a comment. I mean, I understand your points. I think security and anonymization is a big issue. I think we are one of the companies that potentially have the capability to do the best. We can always certainly think better, so we need to see how that works. Just my comment is, I welcome any of your ideas about how to use Watson. Basically, I end my presentations about, okay, what would you do with Watson? And that's what I would like to hear from you, because I think it's a technology that has lots of capabilities, and we haven't really thought about all of them. So the door is open. Please come.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to thank all the speakers for their participation, and I hope this was an enlightening session for everyone. I do think a cultural shift is coming, and I do think that the questions that can be asked and will be asked will inevitably improve healthcare through big data. And it's not just big data. Big data enables that more holistic view that perhaps the genomics age has detracted from in some way in the last 10, 15 years. So I think a move away from reductionism is a good thing. I think big data is enabling that, and I think we have some clear obstacles to overcome. However, knowing what we need to overcome is again the first step. And I believe we will be running soon. I believe IBM's running already and Dassault is running already. But the disparity between industry and the public is always one that takes a bit of time for catching up. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.